Chapter 937. Red Hair also saw the martial arts club logo on the stage, and his face changed slightly. He pinched his chin and thought for a while. Suddenly, he revealed a sneaky smile and said, "Sure, isn't it just beating that kid up? No problem, leave it to me. But this." As he spoke, Red Hair twirled his fingers, obviously asking Shuigao how much he was willing to pay. "Ha ha ha. No problem. Money isn't a problem. As long as you can cripple that kid, all of this is yours." Shuigao laughed, took out a thick stack of cash, and waved it in front of Red Hair. Shuigao flirted with girls all year round. To him, using money to make a girl happy was as easy as eating and drinking. Therefore, he always had enough cash on him, and now was the time to use it. "That's good, we'll help you settle it. We'll definitely beat him up until even his mother can't recognize him." Red Hair saw the thick stack of cash in Shuigao's hand, and his eyes lit up. He immediately became spirited and agreed without thinking. "Okay, then let's do it now. Don't worry, other than this, I'll also thank you after this is done." Shuigao saw that everything was settled and said eagerly, "Gah! Do it now?" Red Hair was stunned. He looked at Shuigao as if he was an alien and said, "This is an art festival. How can I do it in front of everyone? Do you want me to be kicked out by the security guards?" "Of course, I'll wait until after the gala is over and then find a chance to beat him up." "Aren't you talking nonsense? If it wasn't for the fact that I want to do it now, would I spend so much money to find you? If I wait until after the gala is over, I can beat him up in minutes." Shuigao rolled his eyes and said impatiently. He thought that Red Hair would be able to settle this matter immediately, but he turned out to be a coward. Okay, let me think about it first. Give me some time and wait for my news." Red Hair frowned and said awkwardly. Don't look at how arrogant he was normally. That was only under normal circumstances. Now that there were so many students and teachers present, he couldn't possibly rush up to the stage, grab Xiao Yi, and beat him up in front of everyone, right? If he accidentally angered the crowd, not to mention the security guards dragging him out, everyone present would probably give him a punch and beat him to death. At that time, even if he had money, he wouldn't be able to spend it. All right. Time waits for no man. Shuigao had no other choice. Although he was quite anxious, he could only wait for the red-haired man to make his move. Seeing that Redhead was deep in thought, Shuigao brought Ma Xiaochang and took a few steps away, standing at a place with a good view. If they raised their heads, they would be able to see the stage, and if they turned their heads, they would be able to see Redhead and Du Rongwei. Furthermore, from the way they were standing, no one would be able to tell that they were a group. This way, if they really got into a fight, it would have nothing to do with him. Big brother Red Hair, that kid is a member of the martial arts club. If you provoke them. Du Rongwei hurriedly moved closer to Red Fur's side when he saw that Shuigao had walked far away, and he asked in a low voice. However, he hadn't finished speaking when he was interrupted by Red Fur. Idiot! Red Hair scolded Du Rongwei. His eyes flashed with a treacherous light as he said, "Did you forget what I just said? We have a backer now. Those two are super experts in the martial arts world. When the time comes, no matter who from the martial arts club dares to cause trouble for us, we will go and tell those two that we almost found that girl, but in the end, it was ruined by the martial arts club. What do you think will happen to them?" "Wahahaha, big brother, you are so quick-witted. Then we won't have to worry about the martial arts club waiting for an opportunity to take revenge." Du Rongwei came to a sudden realization. He gave a thumbs up and smiled slyly as he flattered Red Hair. "That's right." Just as Red Hair said complacently, his face fell again, and he said impatiently, "Don't be like a duck. Hurry up and think of a way to kill this kid so that we can get the money from Master Shui. This isn't easy either. With so many people watching, if we fight, we definitely won't be able to gain any advantage." Du Rongwei muttered with a face full of distress. Dang 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 dang. At this time, a burst of exciting music suddenly sounded from the speakers around the auditorium. It turned out that Xiao Chen and the others on the stage were all set up, so the program was ready to officially begin. Looking at the scattered bricks, boulders, and hammers on the stage, the audience was a little puzzled. What are they going to do? They saw that the host who fell earlier had already changed into a tuxedo. He walked up to the stage with a beaming face, cleared his throat, and said, "The next program will be presented by the students from the Ancient Martial Arts Department. At the same time, they are also members of the school's martial arts club." Hearing that it was a program from the Ancient Martial Arts Department, the audience below the stage was listless, and the applause was sparse. Everyone was whispering to each other, and none of them had any interest in the following performance. After all, most people came to the evening party with a clear purpose, which was to see the performance of the two campus belles. Who would want to see a few men on the stage putting on some fancy moves and sweating profusely? The host deliberately paused for a moment. When there was obviously an awkward silence, he raised his voice and reported the second half of the program. These students will perform barehanded splitting of bricks, crushing of boulders with their chests, as well as golden bell shield and iron shirt. Students, please prepare your mobile phones and cameras to witness this incredible scene. Ow, ow, ow. The people who originally planned to be absent-minded and go to the toilet were stunned for a moment. Then they immediately reacted and shouted excitedly. The atmosphere of the scene was stirred up in an instant. In previous art festivals, the sophomores and juniors had also seen the performances of the Ancient Martial Arts Department, but they were all performing a few sets of boxing techniques on the stage. It looked like they were doing broadcast gymnastics, and they were accompanied by some songs such as The Legend of the Condor Heroes and Huang Feihong. Although it looked like it was full of vigor and was quite awesome, it was boring after watching too much. After all, they didn't understand the intricacies behind it. And these street moves that were performed this time might be nothing in the eyes of some martial artists, but these university students who only knew how to bury their heads in their studies had rarely seen it, so they immediately went crazy. The first to go on stage were Wang Jingtian and Xiao Chen. The other members of the Ancient Martial Arts Department stood on the side and waited. Because Xing Chik, Ling Qinxue, and Qing Menjing weren't arranged to perform on stage, the three of them hid behind the stage and waited. Occasionally, they could help carry a few bricks or something. Xiao Chen saw that everyone's attention was almost attracted, so he picked up 3 green bricks from the stage and showed them in front of everyone. He even called a few students sitting in the front row to go on stage and let them verify that they were using real bricks and not fake foam boards. Chapter 938. Xiao Chen only placed the brick in front of Wang Jingtian after the warm-up had ended. He then helped him hold the brick by the side. Ha! Wang Jingtian didn't waste any words and cupped his hands towards the audience. He then roared, sounding very imposing. Then, with a schwa sound, he slammed his palm against the bricks. With a kacha sound, the 3 bricks were split apart and fell to the ground. Good, well done. Good job. That's awesome. Wow. This guy is really strong, and he's also quite handsome. I wonder if he has a girlfriend or not. TSK, why would he like you? I'm sure he likes girls like me. Wang Jingtian was a little handsome, and he always had a cool look. Therefore, he could attract the attention of girls. Therefore, when the boys in the audience kept clapping and cheering, many girls were staring at Wang Jingtian with stars in their eyes. They all looked like they were infatuated with him. Thank you for your applause. Do you want to see Vice President Wang of our Wushu Club add bricks? Dong Jiqi picked up the microphone and said loudly. Today, he brought the members of the Wushu Club to help. He wanted to promote the club and make it famous. Yes. Very much. The students below the stage shouted one after another. They were all very excited. How many bricks do you want? Dong Jiqi asked. 5 bricks. 5 bricks. The students shouted excitedly. Good. No problem. Everyone, watch carefully. Dong Jiqi put the microphone back. Then, he moved 5 bricks in front of Wang Jingtian and asked Xiao Chen to hold them. Ha! Wang Jingtian swept his gaze around, and then without saying a word, he roared angrily and smashed all the bricks into pieces. In order to increase the effect of the program, he purposely made himself look like he was sweating and the veins on his face were bulging. Wow! Add 10 bricks. Add 10 bricks. Seeing Wang Jingtian putting in so much effort, the students below the stage went into a frenzy. Everyone was cheering, and the popularity of the live audience was no less than Ling Qinyu's performance. The host, who was the closest to them, also felt his blood boiling as he watched. He applauded again and again, holding the microphone and saying passionately, "I can see that the students of the martial arts club are really talented. This kind of ability, who could do it? Let me ask all the students here, which one of you can do this?" "I can." Shui Gao suddenly pinched his throat and inexplicably appeared behind Redhead and shouted. The surrounding students all quieted down and looked in the direction of Shui Gao and Redhead, but Shui Gao had already hidden behind them. Du Rongwei and Red Hair were stunned, and the three of them quickly slipped away with the young ninja. Red Hair frowned and whispered, "What are you doing? Why do you want to stand out? Are you guys stupid?" "Of course I have an ulterior motive." Shui Gao looked in front of him and explained in a low voice, "Those idiots from the martial arts club, didn't they want to challenge someone? You guys can use this as an excuse to cause trouble and teach that kid a lesson. Isn't that killing two birds with one stone?" It turned out that Shui Gao was afraid that he wouldn't be able to find a chance to teach Xiao Chen a lesson. If Redhead still couldn't think of a way, how could he teach Xiao Chen a lesson when Su Chuxia's performance was over? Coincidentally, the host was talking big in the heat of the moment. Shui Gao suddenly had an idea, and he suddenly thought of a way to let Redhead and the others go on stage openly. He took the opportunity and shouted it out. Moreover, since there were people below the stage who accepted the challenge, if the martial arts club didn't dare to let them go on stage, it would damage their reputation. Therefore, even if the host didn't want the audience to go on stage, they couldn't agree to it. This. As expected, the host was dumbfounded by Shui Gao's roar. He just wanted to liven up the atmosphere. Who knew that someone would really answer? Helplessly, he turned to look at Dong Zhiqi and Wang Jingtian, wanting to seek their opinion. Before Dong Zhiqi could react, Wang Jingtian smiled faintly, took the microphone, and said with a relaxed expression, "Sure. Since there are students who are willing to go on stage to learn from each other, I can accept it. However, the duration of the performance might be extended. I'm not sure if the audience has any objections." No objections. The longer the performance, the better. The audience below the stage shouted in unison, and there were many girls' voices mixed in. This performance was so good, who would have any objections? Everyone was eagerly looking forward to performing more so that they could broaden their horizons. The girls even hoped that Wang Jingtian could stay on stage for a longer period of time. Since both sides have no objections, then let's invite the student who fought bravely just now to come on stage and compete with the students from the martial arts club. The host was also very excited. He shouted and pointed in the direction of Shui Gao and the others. Instantly, a spotlight shone towards where they were standing. "Hurry up and go. No matter what happens on stage, I will bear the consequences. Once it's done, the remuneration will naturally not be lacking." Shui Gao seized the time and whispered to the red-haired guy. In any case, when the audience went on stage to participate in the performance, they were basically uncontrollable. It was inevitable that some accidents would happen, and the school couldn't do anything about it. Even if they wanted to investigate later, they wouldn't be able to trace it back to him. Since Shui Gao said so, the red-haired guy and the young ninja were no longer worried. The two of them strode towards the direction of the stage. Seeing the two people on stage, Wang Jingtian couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Why is it these people again? It seems like they came with ill intentions this time. However, Wang Jingtian wasn't afraid. Although he wasn't as strong as the young ninja, splitting bricks was his forte. Therefore, no matter who challenged this program, he was very confident. Seeing the red-haired man and the young ninja walk to the front of the stage, the host was also stunned. The appearance and attire of these two people were a bit strange. One of them had dyed his hair red and looked like a street thug. The other one was wearing a ninja attire and looked a bit old-fashioned. He didn't look like a university student. Excuse me, are you students from Lon University? Why is your hair dyed and your dressing seems to be a bit special? Also, this person's appearance seems to be. There were whispers and discussions below the stage. The host couldn't hold back his curiosity and asked. Although Lon University didn't explicitly prohibit students from dyeing their hair and had a uniform dress code, the students were usually quite self-aware. Even if someone wanted to dye their hair, they would only dye a few strands of hair. They definitely wouldn't dye all of their hair red and make it so shocking. Chapter 939. Oh, we're both from the arts department. I'm from the beauty and hairdressing department, so I used my own hair as an experiment. He's from the fashion design department, but he looks a little too young. He's actually younger than me. The red-haired guy spouted nonsense with a straight face. He had already thought of these words before he went on stage, so he wasn't stumped by the questions. The host was a little puzzled. Does our school have a beauty and hairdressing department? Are these two sure they're not from some excavator school? However, the party had limited time, so the host naturally wouldn't pursue this matter. He nodded and asked, so that's how it is. Then, these two students, what do you want to compete in? Of course we want to compete in splitting bricks. Are there any other choices? The red-haired guy glared at the host. Why is this guy spouting nonsense? The host smiled embarrassedly. He was a little confused just now, so he quickly said, okay. Then how many bricks do you want to challenge? Let's compete with 15. Everyone just shouted 10. Since we're going on stage to challenge, we should at least add more. The red-haired guy said lightly. The red-haired guy knew the young ninja's strength. Let alone 15 bricks, even if it was 30, he could easily split them. Wow! Isn't this challenger a little too awesome? I didn't come for nothing today. Yeah, I've been in Lon University for 4 years, but I've never seen such an exciting show. Martial Arts Club members, hurry up and accept it. I can't wait. 15 bricks. Even a street performer couldn't do this. These two challengers were either boasting, or they really had the strength to do it. The audience below the stage was boiling. The Martial Arts Club's performance was simply the best show of the night apart from Ling Qianyu's ballroom dance. The girls sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Wang Jingtian worriedly with their hands on their chests. Those two wretched guys challenged their male idol right off the bat. They didn't know if their male idol would accept the challenge. Okay. Since the challengers have announced the challenge, can the Martial Arts Club accept it? When the host heard the number of bricks had increased to 15, his voice trembled a little. He quickly turned his head and asked Wang Jingtian excitedly. Wang Jingtian pondered for a moment, then nodded and agreed. No problem, 15 it is. Since both parties had confirmed the quantity and were ready, Xiaochen turned around and carried 30 bricks from the side of the stage. He took out 15 bricks and placed them in front of Wang Jingtian. Then, he stood at the side and helped him hold the bricks to stabilize their balance. Ha! Wang Jingtian got into a horse stance, took a deep breath, and used all the strength in his body to fiercely slap down. Caw caw caw, sounds could be heard, and all the bricks instantly cracked open. The first 14 bricks were split in half and scattered on the ground, but the last brick was not split in half. It only cracked in the middle, but it still completed the challenge. Ao ao ao. The audience, who had been holding their breaths with rapt attention, suddenly screamed, clapped and cheered incessantly. After letting out a sigh of relief, Wang Jingtian wiped the sweat off his forehead. He gestured to the red-haired man and the young ninja and said coldly, I'm done. Now it's your turn. Wait. We need to discuss the tactics. The red-haired man saw the young ninja winking at him, so he waved his hand and gestured to pause. Then, he pulled the young ninja to the side and whispered to each other. Wang Jingtian and Dong Zhiqi were stunned. They looked at each other and were a little puzzled. Isn't it just splitting bricks? What tactics is there to discuss? Do they want to take the opportunity to slip away? But they stopped and whispered to each other when they walked to the side, and it didn't look like they were going to run away. The audience was a little surprised. These two non-mainstream people volunteered to challenge the Wushu Club. Now that the Wushu Club had accepted the challenge, why did they become timid? The audience who didn't know the truth immediately booed. At this time, the young ninja didn't care about the booing from the audience. He pulled the red-haired man and whispered, "I really didn't know that this guy is really capable. I thought he couldn't handle it." The young ninja looked at Wang Jingtian. He thought that with this guy's cultivation, he shouldn't be able to split 15 bricks. This was enough to make the Wushu Club lose face. He didn't expect him to actually succeed. Who cares? We don't need to rely on the karate dojo to make money. There is no conflict with the Wushu Club. Now, we just need to find a way to cripple that guy called Xiao Yi, and the mission will be considered completed. The red-haired man whispered. Oh, so it's like this. I understand. But what I'm going to perform is splitting bricks. How can it be related to Xiao Yi? Should I just say that it's wrong and directly slap his head? Isn't this too fake? The young ninja couldn't help but ask. It wasn't a problem for him to use his strength, but when it came to using his brain, he was at his wits' end. You're really stupid. If I wasn't weaker than you, I wouldn't be your boss. The red-haired man scolded angrily. Seeing that the young ninja was still confused, he pointed out with a face of disdain, "Can't you control your strength when you split? Let the brick fly up and hit Xiao Yi's head with a bang? This way, we can say that it was an accident. It has nothing to do with us. At worst, we can just pay some medical fees. Anyway, that idiot will pay for it. What are you afraid of?" That's right. This is a good idea. Smart. Really smart. The young ninja suddenly realized and couldn't help but give a thumbs up in admiration. The two of them weren't afraid of being heard by the people from the Wushu Club. The whole stage was very empty. They were originally standing on the side and deliberately lowered their voices. If they didn't use a microphone, they wouldn't be able to hear anything from a distance. But they didn't know that Xiao Chen was a real cultivator. Even if he didn't release his divine sense, he could clearly hear their conversation. Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. I was wondering why these two non-mainstream idiots suddenly appeared on the stage to challenge me. It turned out that they were here for me. But what enmity do these two have with me? Is there something wrong with them? Xiao Chen couldn't help but be puzzled. With his current identity as Xiao Yi, it could be said that he had no contact with these two people. The last time they came to challenge the Wushu Club, he wasn't there. He didn't have a direct confrontation with them, so they shouldn't know him at all. If it was with Xiao Chen's identity, then even if the red-haired man was beaten to death, he wouldn't dare to provoke him. Otherwise, even if he wanted to die, he wouldn't be able to. If it was with his identity as the Wushu Club challenger, then needless to say, the red-haired man would definitely be scared to the point of peeing his pants and running away. How could he take the initiative to look for trouble? This was really strange. Chapter 940. Xing and Ling Qinxue, who were standing behind the curtain, looked at each other in confusion when they saw the red-haired guy bringing the young ninja onto the stage. Why did they meet these two again? What were they doing here? When Qing Menjing saw the red-haired guy, she subconsciously hid. After hiding, she remembered that she wasn't wearing a disguise. Even if the other party saw her, he wouldn't be able to recognize her. Only then did she relax. I say, you two have been muttering for a long time. Do you not want to compete anymore? If you don't compete, then it means you admit defeat? Xiao Chen smiled coldly. He didn't want to give them any more time to think about how to deal with him and directly asked. Since he already knew their goal and plan, he naturally wouldn't let them succeed so easily. Xiao Chen thought quickly and already thought of a countermeasure. What kind of joke is this? We just wanted to warm up. Now that we're done warming up, we can start. Move the bricks over. The young ninja was confident. He waved his arms and did a few chest expansion movements. Then, he swaggered over. The red-haired guy also walked to the front of the stage and waited to the side, ready to watch a good show. Oh, then wait a moment. Dong Jiqi was the closest to the remaining bricks. Just as he was about to obediently move the bricks, he was stopped by Xiao Chen. I'll do it, I'll do it. This was originally my job, don't steal it from me. Xiao Chen rushed to move the 15 bricks on the ground and place them in front of the young ninja. After placing them, Xiao Chen prepared to retreat to the side. The young ninja was stunned. If this guy retreated far away, how would he be able to hit them? He hurriedly looked at the red-haired guy as if asking for help. The red-haired guy understood and immediately jumped up. Hey hey hey! You bastard, you're not allowed to leave. Go over and help him hold the bricks. What if it falls? Really, you don't have any eyesight at all. How come you don't know how to unite and be friendly? The red-haired guy righteously stared at Xiao Chen and scolded. Oh. Okay. Xiao Chen shrugged and didn't refuse. He walked back slowly, squatted down, and put his hand on the brick. The audience waited for a long time without knowing the truth. Finally, when they saw that the young ninja was ready to start the challenge, they immediately shouted and cheered for him. However, there were also a few girls who were secretly cursing him for failing the challenge. Don't steal the limelight from your idol. Drink. Seeing that the time had come, the young ninja shouted without hesitation. Then, he circulated his mental cultivation method and struck the brick with his palm. Crack. Those bricks were smashed into pieces in the blink of an eye. However, the following scene made everyone's jaws drop. Bang. Bang. Only two muffled sounds could be heard. The broken bricks and tiles didn't smash into Xiao Chen's head as the young ninja expected. Instead, two of the broken bricks suddenly flew up. One of them smashed into the young ninja's head, while the other flew in a strange arc and heavily smashed into the red-haired ninja's thigh. Ah! Caught off guard, the young ninja couldn't block it at all. With a scream, his head was directly split open by the broken brick. Blood spurted out like a fountain, and the hair in front of his forehead was dyed blood red. Ouch! On the other side, the red-haired ninja howled. He clutched his crotch in pain and knelt on the ground. He couldn't understand why the broken bricks would hit him. He was clearly very far away. Xiao Chen stood up and glanced at the red-haired ninja who was kneeling on the ground. He was a little puzzled. The young ninja's injury was within his expectations, but the red-haired ninja was inexplicably injured. It was a little strange. Why did the broken bricks fly so far? However, when Xiao Chen turned his gaze and saw Qing Menjing hiding behind the curtain, she was covering her mouth and laughing secretly. He immediately understood what was going on. Only Qing Menjing could control the bricks remotely like him. It seemed like she was the one who hit the red-haired ninja. No wonder the arc looked so strange. Aya, why did you dye your hair? Do you want to be a red-haired ninja too? Or do you want to study beauty and hairdressing? Are you stupid? Can't you just sign up for an elective class? In order to not let Qing Menjing be noticed, Xiao Chen immediately looked at the young ninja with a surprised expression and grabbed the host's microphone. Ha ha ha. These two people are so funny. They obviously have such poor skills, but they still dare to challenge them. They are simply overestimating themselves. That red-haired ninja is so pitiful. He really got shot while lying down. He was standing so far away, but he still got hurt accidentally. I'm dying of laughter. I don't know if it will affect some of his functions in the future. Ha ha ha. When the audience heard Xiao Chen's ridicule, they suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone was pointing at them, and the girls were overjoyed. They all agreed that the curse was effective. The other members of the martial arts club on the stage looked at each other. They didn't understand what happened at all. The situation looked like an accident, but there was a hint of strangeness in it. However, they were too lazy to ask. Anyway, these two people didn't get along with them. They could only say one sentence: God will punish those who are despicable. The host couldn't sit back and do nothing. He quickly went up to the young ninja and asked him if he was okay and if he needed to go to the infirmary. The young ninja covered his head and grimaced for a while. He finally recovered. He was also a martial artist, so this injury was nothing. Although he was a little depressed, he still waved his hand and said, "It's okay. It's just a small matter. This time it's a draw. I've smashed all the bricks. I'm fine." The red-haired ninja stood up with difficulty in a twisted posture. He took a deep breath and then glared at the young ninja. He was really speechless at the young ninja. What kind of technique is this? Not to mention that Xiao Yi didn't hit him, he even broke his head and accidentally injured me, who was standing far away. He even attracted the laughter of the audience. It was really embarrassing. "Oh, then do you still want to compete?" Xiao Chen could not be bothered to be nice to them, so he asked coldly. Looking at the unconvinced looks on the faces of these two fellows, with their eyes rolling around, he guessed that they were up to no good again. We'll take a break first. You guys continue your performance." The red-haired ninja could see that this move obviously couldn't win. He could only wait for the opportunity to make a move. However, he didn't want to leave the stage with his tail between his legs, so he simply stayed on the stage and said so. "Oh, we have a more exciting segment later. If you want a challenge, you can continue. We welcome you at any time." Xiao Chen said indifferently and ignored them. He turned around and went to prepare the props with the members of the martial arts club. Chapter 941. Next, the students from the ancient martial arts department will show everyone how to break rocks on their chests. Everyone, please don't be stingy with your applause and give them your warmest encouragement. The host saw that the situation was a little awkward, so he quickly took the microphone and began to loudly stir up the emotions of the audience. Ow, ow, ow. Xiao Chen and the others didn't use the microphone to talk, so the audience could only see their mouths moving, but couldn't hear what they were saying. Just when they were anxious and thought that something had happened to the program, they suddenly heard the host's announcement again. Everyone suddenly felt as if they were injected with chicken blood. They shouted loudly and applauded enthusiastically, once again pushing the program to its climax. Breaking rocks on their chests. It was even more exciting than breaking bricks, so it would definitely be better to watch. Xiao Chen and Dong Zhiqi moved a table out and placed it in the middle of the stage. Then, Jia Muzhen walked to the front of the stage, cupped his hands at the audience, and tore off his clothes, revealing his strong 8-pack abs and perfect mermaid lines. It immediately attracted the screams of many girls in the audience. Wow! This guy with glasses looks like a loser, but his body is really good. Look at these abs. These mermaid lines. Wow, there's even a groin. I can't take it anymore, I'm going to have a nosebleed. Glasses bro, I want to give birth to your child. The host naturally wouldn't let go of this great opportunity to stir up the atmosphere. He immediately took the microphone and asked Jia Muzhen, "Classmate, did you hear the cheers of the girls in the audience? Everyone likes you very much. Do you have anything to say to them?" Thank you for everyone's encouragement." Listening to all kinds of shouts from the love-struck girls in the audience, Jia Muzhen awkwardly pushed up his glasses, casually replied, and without saying anything else, he laid flat on the table. He had never encountered this kind of situation before, so he didn't know what to say for a moment. However, this simple sentence made the girls in the audience scream and infatuated for a long time. At this time, the giant rock had been lifted up. The host once again stirred up the emotions at the right time. He pointed at Xiao Chen and the others who were carrying the rock and shouted, "Everyone, this giant rock weighs 150 pounds. In a moment, it will be on top of the skinny bespectacled man, and then his assistant will smash it with a hammer." In order to highlight the effect of the show, Xiao Chen, Wang Jingtian, and Dong Zhiqi laboriously lifted the boulder and approached Jia Muzhen step by step. Then, they slowly placed the boulder on his body. Then, the three of them pretended to heave a sigh of relief. However, the crowd below the stage gasped in shock. Seeing Xiao Chen turn around to get the hammer, the host was so excited that he jumped up and down. His voice almost changed. Everyone, please watch. Next, it's time to witness a miracle. Picking up the hammer on the ground, Xiaochen walked in front of Jia Muzhen. He first looked around the audience, then slowly raised the hammer above his head, holding it high above the boulder. However, he did not immediately smash it down. Instead, he deliberately paused, wanting to create a tense atmosphere. It's too scary. It won't kill that bespectacled guy, right? I don't even dare to watch. It's so scary. Sure enough, many of the timid girls below the stage covered their eyes. Although they didn't want to look on the surface, they couldn't help but peek at the situation on the stage through the gaps between their fingers. They felt their hearts thumping and their hearts thumping. Ha! Feeling that the audience had already held their breath, staring at Jia Muzhen. All their attention was focused on the stage. Xiaochen took advantage of the situation and shouted. He swung his arm and smashed it down heavily. Bang! After a muffled sound, the boulder was instantly smashed into pieces and scattered on the ground. Jia Muzhen shook off the remaining debris on his body and stood up unscathed. He smiled and cupped his hands at the audience below the stage. What the F***ck? It's so awesome. He's still fine even after smashing it so hard. I was scared to death just now. I thought the bespectacled guy was going to be smashed flat. I didn't expect him to be fine. The martial arts club is too amazing. Each of them is so brave. I really want to join them. The audience below the stage seemed to have just recovered from their shock. After a short moment of daze, they suddenly burst into enthusiastic cheers and applause. Many people even wanted to rush up to the stage to see if Jia Muzhen was all right. Fortunately, they were stopped by the security guards at the scene. Everyone, don't be too excited. You've all seen how amazing the members of the martial arts club are, right? If you're interested in joining us, you're welcome. The doors of the martial arts club will always be open for you. Dong Zhiqi was overjoyed. He grabbed the microphone from the host's hand and took the opportunity to promote the martial arts club. TSK. What's so great about it? It's just a street performance. Red Hair had already thought of a new idea. He immediately stood up and said disdainfully, since you've made your martial arts club sound so good, why don't we compete again? Oh. How does this student want to compete? Do you also want to perform smashing boulders on your chest? The host had learned his lesson this time and quickly asked. Red Hair rolled his eyes, shook his head, and said, we're not interested in performing these kinds of tricks to earn money. Then what do you want to perform? The host was a little confused. Weren't you two the ones who went up on the stage to challenge smashing bricks? Why are you suddenly not interested now? Red Hair snorted. He took the host's microphone and walked to the front of the stage. He raised his chin and said to Dong Zhiqi in disdain, didn't you just say that your martial arts club is very powerful? Now I want to challenge other people in your club. Do you dare to come? Challenge other people? Dong Zhiqi was stunned. He didn't know what trick this red hair man was going to play, so he asked cautiously. That's right. Don't tell me you found two people to perform, and the others can't do it? Red Hair pointed at Jia Muzhen and Wang Jingtian in disdain and said, it seems like the two of them are more powerful, and the others are useless trash. Then you're cheating the feelings of all the students. Shuigao almost laughed out loud. This redhead was really quick to blend in with the environment, treating himself like a university student. However, at this moment, he already understood Redhead's new plan. The gloominess he felt earlier was completely swept away, and he was inwardly delighted. This. Dong Zhiqi was a little hesitant. He felt that he couldn't back down now. Red Hair was right. Although Jia Muzhen and Wang Jingtian were members of the martial arts club and couldn't be considered as actors, only the two of them could perform. If he had to choose from the remaining people, only he could barely do it. Chapter 942. Thinking of this, Dong Zhiqi said in a deep voice, "If that's the case, then I'll compete with you. You choose the method of competition." "Are you kidding me? You're too insincere. You're the president, so you're definitely stronger than them. Aren't you bullying us?" The red-haired guy sneered and directly rejected Dong Zhiqi's proposal. "This won't do, that won't do. Then what do you want?" Dong Zhiqi asked angrily. The red-haired guy pointed at Xiao Chen and said with a smirk, "How about this? This guy is also from the martial arts club. We'll compete with him." Although he knew Dong Zhiqi's strength wasn't much, the red-haired guy's purpose on stage was to deal with Xiao Yi. Otherwise, he wouldn't be wasting time on stage. It wasn't like he was really here to perform. This. Dong Zhiqi was stunned. His expression was a little awkward as he subconsciously looked at Xiao Chen. "Okay, what do you want to compete with? I'll accompany you anytime." To Dong Zhiqi's surprise, Xiao Chen did not reject him immediately. Instead, he smiled faintly and agreed readily. "You can lie on the table and perform breaking rocks with your chest. However, you have to let him do it. Do you dare?" The red-haired guy pointed at the young ninja. He was also a little surprised. He thought he would have to waste a lot of words, but he didn't expect Xiao Yi to agree immediately. This guy was quite easy to fool. Xiao Chen secretly laughed. Was the red-haired guy trying to kill him? However, he didn't care and said lightly, "Oh, okay, then come." "Xiao Yi, this is too dangerous. Let me do it." Dong Zhiqi was shocked and quickly stopped him. Dong Zhiqi was very surprised. What's wrong with this Xiao Yi? Usually, he had to find someone to help him move the bricks, but now he actually agreed so easily. This red-haired guy was clearly goading him. Why did he fall for it? TSK, did I really hit the nail on the head? Looks like your martial arts club is just a facade. You actually found two people to act as a substitute and put on a fake show for the audience. It's simply too disappointing. Red Hair held the microphone and mocked with a smirk on his face. When the audience heard Red Fur's words, some of them began to whisper and cast doubtful glances at Dong Zhiqi. "President Dong, don't worry. I'll be fine." Xiao Chen patted Dong Zhiqi's shoulder and gave him a reassuring look. Then, he laid down on the table and lightly said, "I'm ready. You guys carry the stone up." Sigh. Dong Zhiqi sighed. He knew that if he continued to persuade them, the situation would become even more troublesome and suspicious. Since Xiao Yi insisted, he didn't stop him and took Jia Muzhen to move the stones. When the audience saw that Xiao Chen was really lying down and preparing to be smashed, they became spirited again. They all concentrated and wanted to know if the martial arts club was a facade or not. When the stone was firmly placed on Xiao Chen's body, the young ninja was afraid that Xiao Chen would go back on his words. He impatiently picked up the hammer and raised it to the highest point. Then, he sneered and said, "Hee hee. Student, I'm going to smash it. Close your eyes and enjoy it." After saying that, the young ninja used all his strength and fiercely smashed down with the hammer. Bang! 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 3 muffled sounds could be heard. The first was the young ninja smashing the huge stone into pieces. The second was him being smashed on the head by a large piece of flying gravel. The third was the young ninja being knocked out by the gravel and falling straight onto the stage. Then, there was silence. The martial arts club members and the audience were all dumbfounded. Even the host was stunned with his mouth wide open. What was going on? The red-haired guy also couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Just now, he was smashed by the brick. Why was he smashed again? Could it be that there was a grudge between the stone and the young ninja? Ha ha ha. After a moment of sluggishness, the audience suddenly burst into laughter. They didn't expect the martial arts club's performance to be so humorous. The guy in the ninja suit was like a clown. A few people couldn't stop slapping their thighs and laughed so hard that they couldn't straighten their backs. Xiao Chen stood up and patted the dust off his body. He looked at the dumbfounded red-haired guy and said with a smile, "Oh, I know. Actually, you guys also support the martial arts club in your heart. That's why you specifically came to cooperate with our performance, right?" "What? What do you mean?" The red-haired guy didn't react and was at a loss. "Our performance is actually a bit serious and not that funny. So, you and that clown came up together to challenge us and deliberately performed a self-mutilation performance to make the audience laugh. Is that what you mean?" Xiao Chen held his stomach and laughed exaggeratedly, "Ha ha ha. I have to say that you guys achieved the effect. I'm dying of laughter. I think you guys can win the Best Clown Award tonight." The audience below the stage, who had already stopped laughing, were immediately amused when they heard Xiao Chen's words. They continuously applauded and booed at Redhead, and there were even people who whistled at him. The red-haired guy was speechless. He opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. Listening to the ear-piercing laughter below the stage, he was so angry that his brain was about to spurt out. He could only pretend that he didn't hear what Xiao Chen said. He quickly rushed to the young ninja and kicked him a few times, trying to wake him up. "Stop kicking. If he accidentally kicks him until he becomes retarded again, you'll have to feed him for the rest of his life." Xiao Chen picked up the broken bricks and said leisurely, "How about it? Do you still want to compete? Our martial arts club will accompany you to the end." "Humph. I don't want to compete anymore." The red-haired guy snorted coldly and dragged the young ninja backstage with an exasperated expression. "The martial arts club is great. All of them are great." The audience cheered in unison and applauded endlessly. The eyes of the love-struck girls lit up and they covered their chests. They were almost fainted by the handsome guys on the stage. However, one of them fiercely stared at Xiao Chen. His chest was heaving up and down. It seemed that he was extremely angry. "Surname's Du. This is the masterpiece of your master? This is the extremely powerful person you were talking about? What the hell is this performance? It's simply shameful." Shui Gao was furious as he pointed at Du Rongwei's nose and cursed. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. This time, not only did he fail to teach Xiao Yi a lesson, but he also allowed him to be in the limelight. Those who didn't know the truth would really think that the red-haired guy went up to be a clown and serve as a foil to the martial arts club. Du Rongwei was also dumbfounded. He tried his best to explain, "Young Master Shui, I think they might be deliberately numbing that brat Xiao Yi and waiting for him to get off the stage. After all, they can't directly make a move in front of everyone, right? That better be the case. Otherwise, don't even think about getting a single cent. You will have to pay your own medical fees." Shui Gao was still very angry. Chapter 943. "Don't worry, young Master Shui. My master and big brother Red Hair are definitely ready and waiting for Xiao Yi to appear." Du Rongwei quickly comforted him. "All right. Since you said so, I'll wait and see." Shui Gao frowned and said gloomily. Now that things had come to this, he could only wait. Just as Du Rongwei said, after Red Hair dragged the young ninja off the stage, he didn't go far. Instead, he went backstage and found an empty space to rest. Seeing that the young ninja was still unconscious, Red Hair slapped and pinched his face. After a long time, he still didn't wake up. Helpless, Red Hair could only get a bucket of water and directly pour it on the young ninja's face. Only then did he wake up. Fortunately, his injuries weren't too serious. After waking up, he simply used his martial arts to heal himself and was fine. However, when he thought of the humiliation he just made, his face still didn't look too good. The two of them discussed for a while and decided to wait here and not leave. When the martial arts department's performance ended and Xiao Chen went backstage to act alone, they would make a sneak attack and ruthlessly beat him up. The martial arts club's performance was still going on. The next program was relatively dull. It was Dong Jiqi's performance of the Golden Bell Iron Shirt. Although it was also very entertaining, and the audience was specially invited to interact with it. It wasn't as passionate as before. It could only be considered as a good ending to the program. But overall, the martial arts club's performance was a great success. After the performance, many students came to Dongjichi to sign up. They wanted to join the martial arts club. There were also many love-struck girls that surrounded Wang Jingtian and occasionally took advantage of him. As soon as the two of them got off the stage, they were extremely busy and dizzy. Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen were responsible for cleaning up the stage. Both of them looked quite loser, and they were ordinary members of the martial arts club, so no one bothered them. Although Jia Muzhen showed his abs once and attracted a lot of girls, he was overshadowed by the handsome Wang Jingtian. After the two of them cleaned up, they each carried a pile of broken bricks and prepared to leave the stage. After taking 2 steps into the backstage area, Xiao Chen saw the red-haired guy and the young ninja sitting at the side, glaring at him fiercely. Xiao Chen secretly sneered. Suddenly, he slightly loosened his grip, only to see the broken brick in his hand fall straight to the ground, coincidentally smashing into the numb tendon of Jia Muzhen's leg. Although Jia Muzhen was a peak level 10 general, Xiao Chen was a cultivator, and his level was much higher than his. Smashing him was as easy as flipping his hand. Ouch! As Jia Muzhen walked, he suddenly felt his leg go numb. One of his legs seemed to be out of his control. His whole body involuntarily fell forward, and the broken bricks in his hand all flew out. Be careful. Ouch! Xiao Chen seemed to have jumped in fright. He tried to pull Jia Muzhen's arm, but he lost his balance and the broken bricks in his arms flew out like a fairy scattering flowers. Bang! 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 Ouch! The red-haired guy and the young ninja let out a blood-curdling screech at the same time. The broken bricks all hit their heads and bodies without missing a single one. They subconsciously wanted to block, but there were too many broken bricks. If they blocked from the top, they would be smashed from the bottom. If they blocked from the bottom, their heads would be split open. After a round of indiscriminate bombardment, the two of them were smashed until their heads were black and blue. It was a horrible sight. Are you okay? I'm sorry, my hand slipped and I couldn't support you. Seeing the two of them run away, Xiao Chen quickly helped Jia Muzhen up. I'm fine, but did we hit someone just now? Why did I hear someone scream? Jia Muzhen picked up his glasses and put them back on. When he raised his head, he saw a pile of broken bricks on the ground and no one else. He couldn't help but wonder if he was hallucinating. Oh, we hit those 2 idiots on stage, but they're gone now, Xiao Chen said casually as he squatted down to pick up the bricks. So it was them. Jia Muzhen nodded and could not be bothered to ask any more questions. In any case, he did not have a good impression of those two, so he simply bent down to help Xiao Chen pick up the bricks. After cleaning up, Xiao Chen informed Jia Muzhen and went to room 2 to find Su Chuxia. The martial arts club's performance was over, and Xiao Chen had nothing else to do. It was Su Chuxia's turn soon, so he had to hurry up and learn the song so he wouldn't embarrass himself on stage. Hey! Counterattack man, why are you so late? I've been waiting for you for a long time. It's going to be Chuxia's turn soon, and you two haven't even matched the lyrics yet. Seeing Xiao Chen push open the door slowly and enter, Tian Soran immediately jumped up from his seat. Didn't I rush over here as soon as my program ended? Xiao Chen smiled helplessly. This Tian Suruan was always in such a rush. Don't look for excuses, they're all excuses. Hurry up and memorize these lyrics. Sister Sour Sour strongly recommended you. If you go on stage later and scratch your head, Sister Sour Sour won't let you off. Tian Sour Sour ran over with large strides, grabbed him, and handed him a copy of the lyrics. Oh, don't worry, I'm very good at remembering lyrics. I only need to read it once to memorize it. Huh? There's a dialect in it? Xiao Chen took the lyrics and realized that he and Su Chuxia were singing, "You Are a Song in My Heart." Xiao Chen seemed to have heard it before when he was shopping with the young mistress, but he didn't have much of an impression of it. He only vaguely remembered that a few of the lyrics were sung in a dialect. "TSK TSK, Sister Soran wanted to quietly watch you act cool, but you didn't even last 5 seconds. The dialect of this song is a little troublesome, and it's not easy to learn. Hurry up and listen to it a few times to familiarize yourself with it." Tian Soran rolled his eyes in disdain. He opened the prepared song on his phone and played it for Xiaochen. "Oh, actually, I've learned a few words of this dialect before. I was just teasing you just now." Xiaochen carefully listened to it once and completely memorized the beat and lyrics, so he teased her with a smile. "Really? Then hurry up and say a few lines to Sister Soran. I want to see if you're accurate." Tian Soran squinted his eyes and stared at Xiaochen suspiciously, as if he didn't believe him. "Then listen carefully." Xiaochen cleared his throat and recited unhurriedly, "Tian So Sui is a cha-cha." "That's it? That's it? Half of it is in Mandarin. What does it have to do with a dialect? You're obviously trying to fool Sister Soran." Tian Soran said with a frown after waiting for a long time. Chapter 944. Cha-cha means fierce bitch. How could it have nothing to do with the dialect? Xiaochen laughed. Although Tian Souring was a little clever, she would still fall into his trap if she wasn't careful. "You! How dare you say I'm a fierce bitch? Do you want to die?" Tian Souring was furious. She raised her fist to teach Xiaochen a lesson, but she saw Xiaochen looking at her with a faint smile. It was as if he was saying, "Look, you hit me just because you don't agree with me. Isn't that a fierce bitch?" "Humph, Sister Souring is just a little fierce. You're the one who's too sissy." Tian Souring put down her fist awkwardly and glared at him angrily. She thought that she would find a chance to show him what a real fierce bitch was. "You forced me to say it. And I was just giving an example of the dialect. It wasn't directed at what you said, so don't mind it too much." Xiaochen waved his hand and looked around. He asked curiously, "Oh right, where did Chusha go?" "Humph. She went to change her clothes. You just wait. Anyway, you can go on stage with your current clothes. There's no need to change. You should hurry up and learn this song." Tian Souring snorted and turned her head away. She knew that she couldn't blame Xiao Yi. She was the one who forced him to speak in the dialect. And he seemed to be right. Sometimes, she was indeed fierce. "Oh, I've learned it." Xiaochen didn't start the song but said lightly, "Don't act pretentious. You'll be struck by lightning if you act pretentious. Sister Souring can't stand you anymore, you." Tian Souring was furious. She turned around and was about to teach Xiaochen a lesson when he suddenly opened his mouth and sang, "You're a song in my heart. A flower blooms in my heart. You're my life's." This. You actually remembered it? You must have learned it before. You purposely acted dumb in front of Sister Souring, right? When Xiaochen finished singing, Tian Souring was so surprised that she couldn't close her mouth. She had listened to this song for several days, but she couldn't remember it completely, especially the dialect part, which was even more difficult to sing. She didn't expect that counterattack guy would be able to master it after listening to it once. No matter how Tian Suruan thought about it, it was impossible. He must have known how to sing before. "Sour, what are you guys talking about? Xiao Yi, have you memorized the lyrics?" Xiaochen was just about to say something when he heard the curtain of the changing room open. He turned around and saw Su Chusha walking out of the changing room. Su Chusha was dressed in a pink evening gown. The white belt around her waist showed off her slender waist perfectly. Her hair was tied into 2 ponytails, which swayed as she walked. Coupled with her slightly powdered face, she looked extremely adorable. Xiaochen was a little entranced. He had met 2 goddesses that night. If Ling Qinyu's attire was that of a mature woman, then Su Chusha's makeup was that of a lowly. Although they were both goddesses at the level of the campus belle, they each had their own merits when it came to makeup. It was hard to say who was better or worse, but both were able to attract everyone's attention. Of course. After Sister Souring's training, Counterattack Guy has already memorized the lyrics. Tian Soran gave his guarantee as he stared at Su Chuxia. With a face full of admiration, he said, "Wow. Chuxia, I have to say, you're so cute in this outfit. Sister Souring is falling in love with you. If you could add a pair of cat ears and cat paws, I'm sure you'd be able to charm a lot of guys." It's okay. Su Chuxia blushed. She subconsciously tugged at the hem of her dress and was about to say something when the MC's voice came from the stage. "Next up, the finale of our art festival will be the new campus belle, Su Chuxia. She and her partner will perform a love duet, 'You Are a Song in My Heart.' Everyone, please give them a round of applause and welcome them on stage." Ow, ow, ow. Before the MC could finish speaking, the boys below the stage could no longer hold back their excitement. They howled and applauded enthusiastically. Some of the bolder ones even whistled. Finally, Su Chuxia's turn to take the stage. Su Chuxia originally wanted to make use of the time to rehearse with Xiao Chen, but the show had already started. She could only leave room 2 with Xiao Chen and get on stage, praying that Xiao Yi wouldn't make any mistakes. "Chuxia, you can do it. You must defeat that school belle called Ling something and become the South Wave Bay of tonight's gala. You're the best." Tian Souring stood at the door, waving his little fist at Su Chuxia's back as he shouted. Su Chuxia was speechless. However, she was not in the mood to argue with Tian Souring. She took a deep breath and got on stage with Xiao Chen. Su Chuxia, who was dressed in a cute and adorable style, immediately attracted everyone's attention. As she got on stage, many of the guys had hearts in their eyes as they cheered happily. As expected of the campus belle who is on par with Ling Qinyu. "Su Chuxia is so cute. I want to be her knight in shining armor. I've decided to jump ship. From now on, I'll be Su Chuxia's hardcore fan." But what's with the guy beside her? Huh. This person looks a little familiar. This was Xiao Chen's 3rd time on stage tonight. He didn't even change out of his clothes, so the sharp-eyed students recognized him immediately. Many of them looked at Xiao Chen with envy and jealousy. Whispers began to spread from the audience. Huh. Why is it this guy again? Didn't he just dance with Ling Qinyu? I think he performed in the martial arts club's show. He even smashed rocks. Even though he's just an extra, that's still his 2nd appearance. I didn't expect him to do it a 3rd time. What extra? He smashed that red-haired guy and the ninja several times with rocks. He even smashed rocks on his chest. How can he be an extra? Exactly. These 3 shows are the most popular tonight. I think the Best Supporting Actor award for this year's Arts Festival will definitely go to this guy. The music began to play on the stage, and the people who were whispering to each other stopped and focused their attention on the performance. After all, their focus was still on Su Chuxia. Their envy and jealousy toward Xiao Chen was only temporary. However, Shui Gao was different. He glared at Xiao Chen fiercely and clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his flesh. He was calculating in his heart. Since he couldn't stop Xiao Chen from going on stage with Su Chuxia, he would let him have his fun for now. After the performance was over, he would find a chance to kill him. Meanwhile, in an inconspicuous corner of the audience, Ling Qinyu was wearing a large hat and a pair of sunglasses that covered her entire face. She was quietly watching Xiao Chen and Su Chuxia's performance. Chapter 945. Even though he was wearing sunglasses and his expression couldn't be seen, Ling Qinyu was very angry in her heart. She felt that Xiao Chen was really too much of a playboy. He clearly already had 2 girlfriends, but he still lingered around school belle Su all day long. Could it be that he was planning to be like the ancient people, an emperor with 3 palaces and 6 courtyards? Why didn't this guy have any self-awareness? He was so annoying. She had asked Xiao Chen to perform because she had no other choice, but she didn't think that Su Chuxia would do the same. After all, how could there be so many coincidences? On the other hand, Xiao Chen didn't care about the comments from the audience, nor did he notice Shui Gao and Ling Qinyu's gazes. He was focused on singing with Su Chuxia. However, what surprised him was that even though it was Su Chuxia's first time on stage, she wasn't as nervous as Ling Qinyu. Instead, her voice was mellow, and her aura was strong. Her stage presence and performance were both strong. This time, no one came to disturb them. The duet ended smoothly. Su Chuxia performed surprisingly well, and Xiao Chen's voice was deep and clear. Coupled with the live sound system, the performance was a great success. When the two of them left the stage, they received a huge round of applause and cheers. Su Chuxia used this song to solidify her position as the new campus belle. Some of the guys were originally Ling Qinyu's fans, but after seeing Su Chuxia's performance, they were immediately attracted by her fresh and cute style and became her die-hard fans. The gala ended with Su Chuxia and Xiao Chen singing. All the audience members were satisfied and thought that the trip was worth it. They all rushed back to their dorms to show off to their roommates who didn't attend. The performance of the martial arts club was also a great success. They recruited many new members, and there were also many girls who wanted to join the club because of Wang Jingtian. The president and vice president were very happy. After some discussion, they decided to treat all the members to a midnight snack to celebrate. Yao Yao, are you free later? Let's eat something together. After the event, Ling Qinyu avoided the crowd that was rushing to the dormitory and went backstage to room number 3. She found Sheng Menjing and invited her for supper. She planned to take this opportunity to talk about Xiao Chen with her. Huh. I'm afraid I can't. I'm going to celebrate with the people of the martial arts club later. What's the matter? Sheng Menjing was a little surprised. She remembered that in order to maintain her figure, Ling Qinyu rarely ate supper at night. Why would she suddenly look for her? If that's the case, then forget it, let's meet up another day. I'm going back to the dorm first, bye. Ling Qinyu forced a smile, then turned around and left the room with a heavy heart, heading in the direction of the dormitory. First miss, why is Ling Qinyu looking for you? Xiao Chen had just finished his work when he turned around to see Ling Qinyu leave in disappointment. Out of curiosity, he ran over to ask her about it. I don't know. She seems to have something to say to me, but when I ask her, she won't say it directly. It looks weird. Sheng Menjing shook her head in confusion. She stared at Ling Qinyu's departing figure and felt a little puzzled. This chick is the same as Tian Soran. She's always nagging. Since she doesn't want to talk, then forget it, Xiao Chen said. It seems like you know them quite well. You've interacted quite a bit in the past. What stage is your relationship at? Sheng Menjing could tell that something was amiss. She could not help but glance at Xiao Chen as she asked indifferently. No, you've misunderstood. Xiao Chen suddenly had an awkward expression. He quickly changed the topic and said, "Oh right, the people from the martial arts club are still waiting for us. I've also finished packing, let's go." Humph. I think you're the one who's nagging. Sheng Menjing muttered. She couldn't be bothered with Xiao Chen's trivial matters anymore and left the hall with him. At this time, the red-haired guy and the young ninja had already finished bandaging their wounds. The two of them thought that even though they didn't do a good job, they still had to go back and report to Shui Gao. It wasn't because of any Jianghu morality, but because the red-haired guy felt that, after all, that guy was a stupid nouveau riche. He was as easy to fool as those two experts. Maybe he would be useful in the future. Thinking of this, the two of them came out from the corner and turned into the hall. Sure enough, they saw Shui Gao waiting for them there. You didn't cripple Xiao Yi, but instead, you made a pig's head. You even lost face on the stage and made the martial arts club proud. Which group are you guys from? Did you receive money from the other party? When Shui Gao saw the two of them limping over and bandaged up like mummies, he immediately exploded in anger. You can't blame us. It's not like we didn't find an opportunity. You also saw it. Actually, my subordinates wanted to use the performance as an excuse to crush Xiao Yi to death with bricks and gravel. However, we were nervous when we went on stage, so we didn't control our strength. After all, our idea was perfect, but it was more difficult to put it into practice. The red-haired guy helplessly explained. After hearing the explanation, Shuigao's anger subsided a little. However, he was still in a bad mood. You two are too inexperienced. Isn't it just going on stage? What's there to be nervous about? Who asked us to be too strong? Otherwise, we wouldn't have used so much force. The red-haired guy had a face full of regret. He quickly added, moreover, there were so many people watching, so it wasn't easy for us to carry it out. We were afraid that someone would notice something was wrong. At that time, it's fine for us to bear the responsibility, but it wouldn't be good if we dragged you into it. Hearing this, Shuigao felt that what the red-haired guy said was reasonable. They did try their best on stage, so he didn't say anything more. He waved his hand and said, forget it. Let's put this matter behind us. I'll treat you guys to a meal, but I don't have the payment we agreed on. The reason why Shuigao still wanted to treat the red-haired guy to a meal was because he thought that even if it didn't work out this time, it would still be beneficial for him to get to know the common folk. Of course. Even if you give it to us, we'd be too embarrassed to accept it. The red-haired guy was overjoyed and quickly said a few polite words. As expected of a fool with too much money. Not only did he not want the advance payment, he even treated them to a meal. When they arrived at the restaurant outside of the school, Shuigao ordered a table full of dishes and even called over a few young models to accompany them. After a few rounds of toasting, they started to call each other brothers. Their relationship was very close, as if they were old friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. After 3 rounds of drinks, the topic naturally shifted to Xiaoqin. Young Master Shui, I have to say that you're really a good friend. Even though I, the red-haired guy, messed up your matter today, don't worry. I'll leave my words here. As long as I find a suitable opportunity, I'll definitely cripple that brat for you. Consider it as making up for my mistake and apologizing to you. The red-haired guy said heroically. Then, he raised his cup and clinked it with Shuigao's, tilted his head back, and downed it. Chapter 946. Okay. I can rest assured with your words. As long as you do a good job, you can still come to me for money. Shuigao was very happy and drank a glass of wine. The red-haired guy was secretly delighted. This idiot was indeed a fool with a lot of money. He hurriedly poured more wine and took the opportunity to flatter Shuigao, making young Master Shui feel so smug that he almost forgot his own surname. Under the harmonious atmosphere, the red-haired guy put down his glass and touched the tender model's chest. He asked with a breath that reeked of alcohol, young Master Shui, may I ask, what is the grudge between you and Xiao Yi? Why are you so eager to mess with him? Shuigao frowned and slammed the table. It's all because of the campus belle, Su Chuxia, and her bestie, Tian Souring. Those 2 chicks were both of the highest quality. If it wasn't for them, why would this young master cause trouble for Xiao Yi, that worthless man? It's fine that he took advantage of Ling Qinyu, but he even dared to touch the girl I like. Isn't he courting death? Is that so? The red-haired guy rubbed his chin and smirked. That's simple. Why don't we help you create a hero to save the beauty? It's simple and convenient, and we don't have to worry about it. We can pretend to be hooligans, and you can be the hero protecting the beauty. That's it. Looking at the red-haired guy, Shuigao thought to himself, what's the point of pretending with the 2 of you? You're hooligans. But this is a good idea. It saves me the trouble of figuring out other tricks. Okay, we'll do as you say. Oh right, let me show you the photos of the 2 girls. Don't get the wrong person. Shuigao immediately agreed. He took out his phone and showed him a photo. It was a photo of Su Chuxia and Tian Souring. Shuigao pointed at the 2 girls in the photo. It's them. TSK, not bad. They are indeed the best beauties, but their styles are different. The red-haired guy took a quick glance and didn't see anything wrong. But after looking carefully for a while, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. This girl looks familiar. Where have I seen her before? Of course you're familiar. Xiao Yi just performed the finale with her. Shui Gao snapped. When he recalled how Xiao Yi and Su Chuxia were flirting with each other while singing a love song, Shui Gao was extremely displeased. He should have been the one standing there instead of Xiao Yi. He didn't expect to be taken advantage of by that idiot. That's not right, I'm talking about the other one. Red Hair blinked his hazy eyes as he pointed at Tian Souring in the photo. Du Rongwei happened to be sitting on the other side of Red Fur, and when he heard that, he also moved his head closer. Familiar? It's normal for her to appear around the school. Shui Gao was about to continue, but Du Rongwei suddenly shivered, and the chopsticks in his hand fell on the table. He exclaimed, "Brother Red Fur." It was her. That's the girl we're looking for, that's her. That's right. After being yelled at by Du Rongwei, the originally dizzy Red Hair immediately sobered up. He took a closer look. Wasn't this the person those two experts were looking for? Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Although they didn't wear out their iron shoes, it was really effortless to find her. However, after the initial shock, Red Hair immediately calmed down and realized that something was wrong. If they found her immediately, wouldn't they be unable to scam money in the future? Thinking up to this point, Red Hair immediately glared at Du Rongwei and lectured, "What the F***ck are you yelling for? Did you drink too much yellow wine? Don't spout nonsense. Let's hurry up and talk about young Master Shui saving the damsel in distress." "Oh, right. I got excited when I saw a beauty, I'll punish myself with a glass of wine." Du Rongwei wasn't an idiot. After being stunned for a moment, he quickly reacted and hurriedly said a few words to cover up. Then, he picked up the wine glass and poured it into his mouth. "Young Master Du, you can't do it. You only drank a few bottles of wine and you're already in your head? How dare you come out with such a low alcohol tolerance?" Shui Gao was also a little dizzy from the wine, so he didn't suspect anything. However, he looked down on Du Rongwei. Du Rongwei didn't look like a human after drinking a little. "It's fine. Just ignore him. He's just like that." Red Hair hurriedly took out a cigarette and stuffed it into Shui Gao's mouth. Then, he took the opportunity to change the topic. "I recognize these two beauties. However, after thinking about it, I've already shown my face today. I don't think I can help you save the damsel in distress. Otherwise, it'll be very easy to be exposed." "Then what should we do?" Shui Gao frowned. This Red Hair wouldn't get cold feet, right? "Hey, young Master Shui, don't be anxious. Of course, I have another way." Red Hair laughed sinisterly and said, "When we get back, I'll call my two subordinates over. When the time comes, they'll definitely not be suspected. And, you've thought it through. Then, let's do it." Shui Gao's eyes lit up. He nodded in agreement and was very satisfied. "Young Master Shui, don't worry. This time, I definitely won't screw you up. I guarantee that you'll be able to get the beauties back." Red Hair picked up the wine glass and the two of them happily drank it in one gulp. Shui Gao put down the wine glass and turned to look at Du Rongwei with disdain. "Rongwei, learn more from your big brother in the future. What's the most important thing in the 21st century? It's intelligence. Don't be startled all day long. Go back and train your alcohol tolerance before coming out. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died." Yes, young Master Shui is right. When I go back, I'll definitely read more books and newspapers, and drink more." Du Rongwei was ridiculed by Shui Gao for no reason. He felt very gloomy in his heart, but he didn't dare to refute. He could only say a few perfunctory words and continue drinking. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Red Hair was still thinking about Tian Suruan. He didn't have the mood to play with the young model anymore. After saying goodbye to Shui Gao, he brought Du Rongwei and the young ninja back. When the three of them returned to their residence, they sat down and started a meeting. They were discussing whether this Tian Suruan was the person they were looking for. They had all seen the portrait before. The person in the portrait looked very similar to Tian Suruan in Shui Gao's photo. They were practically carved from the same mold. But should they report it or not? After all, their current source of income depended on the two experts. If they were to tell them that they had found the girl, they might not be able to live happily in the future. They would have to go to the streets to collect money. In the end, Du Rongwei came up with an idea. It was better not to tell the two experts so that they wouldn't lose their long-term meal ticket. They just had to lock onto the target and make sure that the person didn't run away. Red Hair agreed to this plan. He didn't care that it was already late and immediately went to He Yu and Bai Chi's residence. Bai Chi and He Yu had just returned from drinking outside. Each of them was hugging a young model and teasing them. Originally, they were a little unhappy that they were disturbed by Red Hair. However, when they heard that Red Hair was about to lock onto the target, the two of them immediately came to their senses. They told Red Hair to mainly observe and try to avoid contact with the target as much as possible. Red Hair should only report to them when he was sure. Chapter 947. The red-haired guy was amused, but he still agreed. He used this as an excuse to ask for another 200,000 yuan in search expenses. Then he went back happily, leaving the two masters to continue their intimate relationship with the young model. At the same time, the members of the martial arts club were also celebrating in a restaurant outside the school. Everyone was happy that the martial arts club had become famous today. The atmosphere was very warm, and there were a few empty boxes of beer. Everyone had a whole new level of respect for Xiao Chen. So it turned out that he had been hiding his strength. He actually knew how to shatter a boulder on his chest and brought glory to the martial arts club. Especially Jia Muzin, he looked at Xiao Chen meaningfully, but he didn't say anything. When the two of them went to the toilet together, Jia Muzin asked mysteriously, "Xiao Yi, let me ask you, are you a cultivator?" "Well, aren't you one too?" Xiao Chen didn't deny it. Instead, he smiled knowingly. Jia Muzin had already seen through him, so there was no point in hiding it anymore. Jia Muzin was a good person, so it didn't matter if he knew. TSK, it seems that you are also a person with a story." Jia Muzin smacked his lips and nodded, "You are still the best. You can actually hide it from me for so long. If it wasn't for the red-haired guy coming on stage today, I'm afraid I would still be in the dark." Having said that, Jia Muzin didn't mean to blame Xiao Chen. After all, everyone had their own difficulties. It was normal not to say it. Didn't he also hide his strength? Xiao Chen's expression turned solemn as he changed the topic. "That's right. I just happen to want to ask you something. Do you know where the heavenly jade mine is?" Originally, Xiao Chen didn't know about the Tianyu mine. However, before dinner, Ling Qinxue suddenly received news from Xing Girl. She learned that Xiao Chen's father was captured as a laborer and sent to a place called the Tianyu mine to mine spirit jade. She didn't dare to delay and secretly told the information to Xiao Chen. This was all the information that Xing Chick had revealed. The amount of information was very limited. Even the location of the sky jade mine was not clear. Xiao Chen could not let Ling Qinxue ask in return. Otherwise, it would be easy to expose himself. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen decided to ask Jia Muzin. He was a member of the internal pugilistic world, so he might be able to provide some information. However, even if it was just a place, Xiao Chen was still very excited. At least he knew his father's whereabouts, which was much better than being in the dark before. Heavenly Jade Mine? Where did you hear about this mine? Jia Muzin stared blankly for a moment before asking with some doubt. There are some things that are not convenient to say at the moment. I hope you can understand. I just want to inquire about this mine. Although Xiao Chen did not think that Jia Muzhen would betray him, he did not intend to let him know too much for the time being. Nothing, I'm just curious. This is because our Jia family has shares in the heavenly jade mine. Jia Muzhen didn't mind and nodded his head as he replied. In truth, this wasn't a secret. Almost everyone in the martial arts world knew about it. Since Xiao Yi had friends in the martial arts world, he just needed to ask around to find out. What? Then, you must know where the heavenly jade mine is? Xiao Chen was suddenly shocked and couldn't wait to ask. He felt that his heart was about to jump out. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. Originally, he just wanted to ask around with the mentality of trying it out. He didn't expect to really ask the right person. In other words, he would find his father soon. How would I know this? Jia Muzhen's face collapsed as he helplessly said, I'm not a direct descendant of the family. Moreover, even among the direct descendants, this kind of family secret is only qualified to know by a few people in power. Most of the direct descendants are also not clear about it. If that's the case, then, if it's convenient for you, can you help me ask around? Xiao Chen was a little disappointed, but what Jia Muzhen said was also reasonable. Moreover, now that he had a clue, it was better than knowing nothing. Go home? I'm afraid I won't go back. There's no point in going back. Jia Muzhen's expression looked a little gloomy, and his tone was bleak. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He vaguely understood what Jia Muzhen meant. He could see that Jia Muzhen's situation in the family shouldn't be too good. It was probably similar to the situation when he was chased out of the Xiao family. Therefore, he comforted him by patting his shoulder and didn't continue to ask. After leaving the toilet, they put their arms around each other's shoulders and returned to the private room to continue the celebration. Everyone in the martial arts club was in high spirits. They toasted and drank to their heart's content until midnight. Everyone else returned to their dormitories. Xiao Chen brought the Miss and Ling Qinxue directly to the Express Hotel, preparing to start the 3 cultivation. For some reason, the Miss's recent advancement speed was especially fast. She was already an expert at the 5th level of the Golden Core stage. However, Xiao Chen was still stuck at the bottleneck of the peak of the 9th level of the Golden Core stage. He had been unable to break through, which made him very depressed. The next day was Sunday. Xiao Chen and Xing Menjing continued their dual cultivation in the room. Meanwhile, Ling Qinxue left the hotel early in the morning with the reply she had prepared beforehand. She went to report to Miss Xing. In fact, Xiao Chen's reply was very simple. It was only one sentence. Could it be the Jia family's Tianyu mine? The reason why Xiao Chen did this was to use this opportunity to continue to get information from Miss Xing. Even if he couldn't find out the exact location of the Tianyu mine, as long as he could obtain useful clues related to his father, he would be very satisfied. How's the matter going? What's Xiao Yi's attitude? Miss Xing anxiously waited for the whole night. When she finally saw Ling Qinxue return, she couldn't be bothered with cultivation anymore and asked anxiously. I told him about the situation, but he didn't seem that surprised. He only said, could it be the Jia family's Tianyu mine? After that, he didn't continue asking. I also didn't know how to answer him, so I could only brush him off. Ling Qinxue put on a helpless expression and said what Xiao Chen told her. That's all he said? Do you have any other opinions? Miss Xing was a little dumbfounded after hearing this. She was very puzzled. Was there something wrong with Xiao Yi's brain? Could it be that he really wasn't Xiao Chen? That Xiao Feng wasn't his biological father? Otherwise, why didn't he feel excited or anxious at all? Yes. He didn't seem to be too enthusiastic about the whereabouts of Xiao Chen's father. He spent the whole night with me, that. Ling Qinxue slightly lowered her head and said with a little embarrassment. Then how did you ask? Was it like what I told you? What was the situation like at that time? Describe it to me in detail. Miss Xing frowned and asked. Xiao Yi's response was really too dull. His answer was also unexpected. It was simply unbelievable. Chapter 948. Yes, I did it according to what you said. When I was doing it with him, I suddenly asked him, "Do you want to know where your father went?" "He's at the heavenly jade mine." Ling Qinxue nodded and repeated the virtual scene. "And then?" Xing Qinxue asked impatiently. And then he didn't wake up like you said. Instead, he was incomparably brave." Ling Qinshue's cheeks suddenly turned crimson. She bit her lower lip and said, "He only asked me one question. I didn't know the specifics, so I didn't dare to answer. Then he said that his father was quite good and the Xiao family didn't lack money. Why would he go to the Jia family to work as a laborer? And then there was nothing else." Xing Qinshue's head was filled with question marks. She was speechless and felt even more depressed than before. What the F***ck was that reply? How did Xiao Yi know that the heavenly jade mine was related to the Jia family? And this was clearly a matter of the Wulin. Where did he get the information from? It seemed that Xiao Yi was indeed very suspicious. But it was too presumptuous to confirm that he was Xiao Chen based on this. Could it be that he was Xiao Chen and had already found out that his father was at the heavenly jade mine? Was that why he wasn't surprised at all? And he subconsciously mentioned the Jia family? That's right. I'm afraid that's really the case. Otherwise, Xiao Yi's inexplicable behavior would be too hard to explain. Xing Qinxue felt that she had sorted out her thoughts, so she didn't dwell on this anymore. Instead, she said to Ling Qinxue, "I roughly understand the situation. It seems that this method is somewhat effective. You can continue to look for Xiao Yi tonight. The method is still the same. Use Xiao Feng as bait and test his reaction." Test him again? Ling Qinxue was stunned and asked subconsciously. "Why? You don't want to?" Xing Qinshue's face darkened. She was a little unhappy. Why didn't this Ling Qinxue have any spirit of dedication to the organization? She only knew how to make excuses when she encountered something. "No, what I mean is that I don't have any more information that can attract Xiao Yi's attention, so I can't continue to test him. If we talk about other topics, he may not be interested and I won't be able to test him." Ling Qinxue explained helplessly. Ling Qinxue felt that even though Xing Qinxue looked powerful, her brain wasn't that good. Since you want to test others, you should at least throw out some valuable bait, right? Otherwise, why would he take the bait? Even if he really thought that Jiang Taigong was fishing and that the willing would take the bait, Xiao Chen was not a fool. You're right. Then wait for me for a while, I'll go and ask again." Xing realized that she had misunderstood him. She was a little embarrassed, but she didn't suspect anything. She directly walked into the room and took out her phone to call Elder Sunday. "Chen, Xiao Xing, how you?" Xing. Xiao. Reporting to Elder Sun, there is already some progress on this side, but we still need to. Little Miss Xing explained the entire process in detail and analyzed her own ideas. She also took the opportunity to request for more information. Why is it so troublesome? Elder Sun's voice sounded a little unhappy, and he angrily lectured, "You've been in the sect for a long time. You should know that this heavenly jade mine is also related to our Awakening Heaven sect, and it is a top secret. Even an elder of my level cannot know the exact location of the mine. How could you be so reckless? I know, I really don't have any other methods. Since we are already at this critical juncture, I really don't want all my previous efforts to go to waste. Thus, I will have to trouble Elder Sunday. I hope that you will be able to ask around within your capabilities." Hearing Elder Sun's displeasure, little Lady Xing hurriedly and respectfully explained. "I'll try my best. However, don't hold too much hope. Use your brain and think of other methods. Don't always rely on the sect for help." Although Elder Sun agreed, he still reprimanded Xiao Xing. He didn't wait for her to say anything else and directly hung up. Hearing the busy tone from the other side of the phone, Miss Xing secretly sighed. She scolded Xiao Chen fiercely in her heart. This smelly, shameless guy, where exactly did he hide? If I find him in the future, the first thing I'll do is give him a good beating. That Xiao Yi is really something. He said something without rhyme or reason and caused me to be reprimanded by elder son for no reason. If you're Xiao Chen, then just say it. What are you trying to do with all these tricks? Isn't this just wasting time? What kind of person is this? At this moment, in the Express Hotel, Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing were concentrating on their dual cultivation. Suddenly, they sneezed. Xiao Chen felt it was strange. Could it be that someone was bad-mouthing him? Otherwise, as a powerful cultivator, how could he catch a cold? Subconsciously opening his eyes, Xiao Chen saw that there was something wrong with Qing Menjing, who was sitting across from him. Her eyes were slightly closed and there was a faint blush on her white face. Her breathing was also a bit rushed. Blinking his eyes, Xiao Chen didn't quite understand what was going on. Could it be that the young miss was affected by him and Ling Qianxua last night and was a bit amorous? Xiao Chen looked at the usually arrogant and conservative young mistress. She was currently naked with her eyes closed, but her face was flushed red. She looked adorable and alluring, and Xiao Chen could not help but feel a little tempted. He wanted to go up and take a bite. But Xiao Chen was afraid that if he made too much noise, he would scare the other party. After repeatedly struggling in his heart for a while, he simply sneakily reached out his hand and touched the slender waist of the young miss that didn't have a trace of excess fat. When he touched the skin of the young miss waist, Xiao Chen only felt a wave of delicate and smooth touch. That wonderful feeling made him unconsciously swallow his saliva. His fingers moved up bit by bit as if they were possessed, feeling the smooth skin that was like milk. Just as Xiao Chen's trembling hand was about to touch the bottom of the young miss' little mound, the phone beside him suddenly rang. Xiao Chen, you big pervert. You want to take advantage of me when I'm not paying attention, right? Hearing the phone ring, Qing Menjing, who was originally immersed in the state of cultivation, slightly shook and woke up. Immediately, she felt that Xiao Chen's restless hand was wandering around her body. She hurriedly pushed his hand away and unwillingly shrunk back, cursing at him. Hee, I kind of couldn't help it. Xiao Chen awkwardly laughed a few times and was very annoyed in his heart. Chapter 949. If not for the sudden ringing of the phone, with his cultivation, he could have succeeded without Qing Menjing noticing. He didn't know which idiot called him so early in the morning. The phone kept ringing. Xiao Chen was afraid that Qing Menjing would be unhappy, so he didn't dare to move. Can't you hold it in a little? You were so intense with Ling Qianxua last night. Haven't you had enough? Qing Menjing glared at Xiao Chen. Seeing that he was still sitting there with a silly smile, with no intention of picking up the phone, she said, All right, hurry up and pick up the phone. It's so noisy. With that, Qing Menjing got off the bed and walked to the sofa to put on her clothes. Only then did Xiao Chen take the phone and look at the caller ID. It was actually Tian Suruan. The phone was still ringing. Xiao Chen pressed the answer button. Hello, miser Souring, why are you looking for me? Counterattack guy, why are you taking so long to pick up? Did you drop it in the toilet? Tian Souring asked. Without waiting for Xiao Chen to answer, she continued, Sister Souring is asking you. Are you free today? Sister Souring wants to invite you to my house as a guest. Guest? I'm not free. Xiao Chen was a little dissatisfied and directly rejected. If it wasn't for this miser Souring calling at the critical moment, he wouldn't have been discovered by Miss. What a waste of a great opportunity. You're here to help. What? You're not free? You're not the most handsome guy in school. Why are you so busy? Tian Souring only realized that Xiao Chen was not coming. She was so angry that she almost jumped up. Oh, you know that I have 2 girlfriends now. I'm so busy every day. Where would I have the time to visit you? Xiao Chen rolled his eyes and said calmly. Aya, it's rare for Sister Souring to have this idea. Can you give me some face? Maybe if Sister Souring is happy, you'll be able to turn the tables. At that time, you'll have 3 girlfriends. How cool would that be? Tian Wangchuan could tell that Xiao Chen wasn't very happy, so he could only say it with a smile. However, in his heart, he was cursing Xiao Chen to death. She originally thought that this stupid man would gladly agree, but she didn't expect that he would be given the cold shoulder. Why did you invite me over for no reason at all? You don't seem like such a generous person. Do you have some ulterior motives? Tell me the truth. Xiao Chen's anger had almost dissipated, and he asked curiously. This Tian Soran had always been stingy. Now that she suddenly said that she wanted to treat them, it was inevitable that people would suspect her original intentions. Sister Sour was thinking about how you helped Chuxia yesterday, so she wanted to treat you well. Chuxia had the same idea, but she was too embarrassed to say it, so she asked me to say it for her. Haha. Just as Tian Suruan finished speaking, Su Chuxia's voice came through the phone again. Sour, you were the one who wanted to treat Xiao Yi and the others. Why did you drag me into it? I'll personally thank him. Su Chuxia protested softly, but Xiao Chen heard her clearly with his powerful senses. Shoo! Chuxia, don't ruin my show. Tian Soran quickly made a shushing gesture at Su Chuxia, and then said loudly into the phone, Counterattack man, stop being so unreasonable. Hurry up and come over. Also, bring that 4-eyed guy from your dorm and your 2 girlfriends over. Sister Sour will be waiting for you guys. Alright, I'll inform them then. Seeing that Tian Soran insisted, Xiao Chen had no choice but to agree. Although he didn't know why this greedy Sour wanted to invite so many people over, he had nothing better to do anyway, so he might as well go. At least she wouldn't have any bad intentions. Alright. Sister Sour will send you the address in a moment. Come over as soon as possible. Tian Soran said happily when Xiao Yi agreed. Then, she hung up the phone and sent her location to Xiao Chen on WeChat. In fact, Tian Soran wanted to treat everyone to a meal mainly to thank them. She could tell that she was very safe during this period of time, so she was sure that it wasn't that 4-eyed guy, Jia Muzin, who exposed her. Otherwise, the 2 masters from the Jia family would have found her long ago. Thinking about it this way, Tian Suruan felt that his attitude towards Jia Muzin was too poor. At that time, he even threw a tantrum at Jia Muzin. He felt very apologetic and felt that he owed Jia Muzin, so he wanted to apologize. However, the prideful Tian Soran couldn't bring herself to look for Jia Muzin directly, so she came up with the idea of using Xiao Yi as a shield to invite everyone over for a meal. She would treat this meal as an apology. On the other hand, she had promised Xiao Yi that if he could help keep an eye on Jia Muzin, she would give him a mysterious reward. Now that she was safe and sound, it was time to fulfill the reward. However, since she was a greedy Sour, she felt that going to a restaurant was too expensive, and it would be a waste of her wallet. It was better to eat at home. Not only was it cheap, but it was also very safe, and it could reduce the exposure. After putting down the phone, Xiao Chen explained the situation to Qing Menjing. She didn't have any objections, so Xiao Chen called Jia Muzin and Ling Qianxue respectively and told them that there was a meal at noon. He asked them to meet at the gate of Lanqing University. Half an hour later, everyone met outside the school gate. Although Jia Muzin didn't quite understand why he was invited, he still obediently bought a big bag of fruits and carried it. After all, it was his first time being a guest at someone else's house. He couldn't go empty-handed, that would be too shabby. Xiao Chen called a private car with Didi Taxi. After getting in, he told the driver the address Tian Yoshi gave him. Although he already knew that it was Su Chuxia's new home, he pretended that he didn't know the way and let the driver navigate it himself to avoid suspicion. On the way, Jia Muzin curiously asked Xiao Chen why Tian Yoshi would invite him. Although Xiao Chen could roughly guess that the greedy Sour felt guilty towards Jia Muzin, which was why he specially invited him to dinner, Xiao Chen couldn't say it directly, so he could only vaguely cover it up. When they arrived at the neighborhood, Xiao Chen jumped out of the car and subconsciously led everyone to the building where Su Chuxia and Tian Yoshi lived. After entering the elevator, he skillfully pressed the button for the 15th floor. This series of actions, no matter how one looked at it, seemed like he was very familiar with the place. Cheng Menjing saw everything and guessed that there must be some unknown secret between Xiao Chen and the two girls. Although Xiao Chen mentioned once that he had protected Su Chuxia, there was no need to protect her home, right? However, unlike before, Cheng Menjing didn't become suspicious and insist on getting to the bottom of it. Instead, she glanced at Xiao Chen and chose to temporarily ignore his suspicious behavior. Chapter 950. Cheng Menjing was a little surprised by this change. After pondering for a while, she felt that ever since she became a cultivator, she was no longer as unreasonable towards Xiao Chen as before. Perhaps cultivation could make one become more broad-minded. Actually, the Missy did not know that her tolerance had nothing to do with becoming a cultivator. It was because the two of them had supported each other and depended on each other for a long time. She had already developed a deep sense of trust and dependence towards Xiao Chen. It was just that she did not realize it at all. Ding dong. Arriving at the door, Xiao Chen pressed the doorbell. Soon, a series of ta-ta-ta footsteps could be heard coming from the room. Welcome, welcome. You're all here? Tian Suren's enthusiastic greeting could be heard the moment the door opened. Seeing the big bag of fruits in Jia Muzin's hands, she smiled so widely that her eyes almost disappeared. She said, "Io, 4 Eyes even brought papayas. How did you know that Sister Soran has been using papayas to enhance her breasts? You're so thoughtful. Come in and take a seat. Don't stand on ceremony. Treat this place like your own home. Io, it's so heavy." The last cry came from Tian Soran, who was just about to take the fruits from Jia Muzin's hands. However, when she held them in her hands, she felt a sudden weight. Her arm was almost dislocated. Jia Muzin hurriedly took the fruits in his hands, took off his shoes, and entered the room. He turned around and asked Tian Soran with a smile, "Let me do it. Where should I put these fruits?" "Over there. Just put them in the fridge over there." Tian Sour pointed at the fridge in the corner of the living room and gave out instructions. "The freshness preservation layer is on top. Help Sister Sour arrange the fruits one by one. Also, take out the vegetables and beef." "Oh, right. Oh, and the prawns, crabs, and ribs in the freezer layer. Miser Soran, it's almost 12 o'clock. Don't tell me you haven't finished cooking yet. Are you going to let us starve to death?" "I'm starving." Xiao Chen had a bad premonition when he saw Jia Muzin taking out a bunch of fresh vegetables from the fridge and sending them to the kitchen in a huff. "Counterattack, man, are you stupid? Sister Sour and Chuxia are just 2 people, how can they cook so many dishes?" Tian Sour said matter-of-factly. What are you going to do?" Xiao Chen almost collapsed. "If you don't cook, why did you ask us to eat? You should at least order KFC or McDonald's as a gesture." "Don't worry, Sister Sour has already thought about it. Now that all of you are here, there will be 6 of us. Each of us can make a specialty dish, and that will be enough. Moreover, it's more lively when we eat. Isn't Sister Sour very talented?" Tian Sour explained proudly. "You're too talented, I'm convinced." Xiao Chen was too stunned to say anything. He could only nod his head speechlessly. This money grubber was really powerful. It even saved him the effort of cooking. How could this be considered a treat? It was clearly a group meal. Sour, you're still talking." Su Chuxia's dissatisfied voice came from the kitchen. "You invited everyone over, but you don't even want to cook. You didn't even wash the vegetables, how are you going to put them in the pot later?" Stop chatting, hurry up and help me wash and cut the vegetables. Okay, Sister Sour will be there right away. Tian Sour stuck out her tongue and gave Xiao Chen a look. Counterattack man, didn't you hear that Chusha wants us to help? Stop dilly-dallying and hurry up. Opportunity waits for no man. Alright, let's do it together, or else we won't be able to eat a hot meal today. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. He rolled up his sleeves and walked into the kitchen first. He looked around, scooped up the fish in the bucket, and skillfully cleaned it up. The others didn't mind so much. They all rushed into the kitchen and began to help wash the fruits, pick the vegetables, and cut the meat. The kitchen wasn't big, and 6 people went in at once. Fortunately, everyone was quite slim, and everyone had their own tasks, so it didn't look crowded. These people came from different places and had their own backgrounds, but at the end of the day, they were just carefree university students. Plus, the martial arts club's performance and Su Chushia's finale were very exciting, so they had a lot to talk about. Soon, they were all on the same page. From time to time, laughter could be heard from the kitchen. Everyone was busy, and it was a happy and harmonious atmosphere. As the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. After working for an hour, the table in the living room was finally filled with delicious food. The bowls and chopsticks were also placed on the table, and it was time to dig in. Other than Tian Sour, who made a simple scrambled egg with chopped green onions, everyone else basically made 2 dishes. The table was full, and it looked especially tempting. After working for half a day, everyone was starving. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they sat down and picked up their chopsticks to dig in. After a round of tasting, everyone agreed that Xiao Yi's dishes were the best. Although the 2 dishes made by Qing Yaoyao didn't look very good, they tasted very good, second only to Xiao Yi's. Although Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing spoke very modestly, they both knew what was going on. The main reason was that Xiao Chen had learned how to cook youtiao and had always been good at cooking. On the other hand, the young mistress's cooking skills were average, and she could only rely on her vitality to add ingredients. Su Chuxia and Tian Sour saw Xiao Chen's dishes as soon as they sat down. They couldn't help but feel a little surprised. The 2 looked at each other and picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs made by Xiao Chen at the same time. After taking a bite, their mouths were instantly filled with a familiar taste. This. The 2 were extremely shocked. The color, taste, and aroma of the sweet and sour pork ribs were exactly the same as what Xiao Chang had made before. What was going on? Hey, counterattack guy, how did you know that Sister Sour likes sweet and sour pork ribs? Have you ever been a chef before? How did you make it so delicious? Tian Sour hurriedly swallowed the half of the sweet and sour pork ribs in her mouth. She quickly picked up 2 pieces from the plate and put them into her bowl. Then, she licked her lips and asked. Oh, someone called young Master Chang told me in my dream. After I memorized the cooking method and heat control, I wanted to try it out. I didn't expect it to be so delicious. Xiao Chen said with a smile. For some reason, Xiao Chen seemed to have the special intuition of a cultivator. He could feel that his days in university were numbered. Therefore, he chose to use a half-joking method and no longer hid his identity. Huh? Are you serious? Tian Sour didn't even care about eating the pork ribs. Her mouth was wide open in shock. However, when she saw Xiao Chen's half-smile, she became a little suspicious. You're not lying to Sister Sour, are you? Chapter 951. Qing Menjing glared at Xiao Chen and explained on his behalf, Sour, don't listen to his nonsense. This guy has been obsessed with a book called The Best Young Master Cultivator recently. He often fantasizes that he's the main character in the book. He's always neurotic. Don't bother with him if there's nothing important. Otherwise, he'll get even more excited. Oh, I see. Sister Sour was scared to death. Tian Sour patted her chest and pretended to be shocked. In order to comfort Sister Sour, these 2 dishes belong to Sister Sour. You're not allowed to eat them. Oh right, the same goes for these 2 dishes. You guys can eat the rest. Sister Sour won't fight with you. Tian Soran held her chopsticks in her mouth and stood up. She picked up the dishes Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing made and placed them in front of her. Cough, cough, cough. Sour, what are you doing? Cold sweat broke out on Su Chuxia's forehead. She felt embarrassed and could not help but say to Tian Sour, "You're the host who's treating everyone to dinner today. How could you do this? If you eat all the good food, what's left for the guests? I think you should just eat the scrambled eggs with chopped green onions that you made." The eggs are all burnt. How am I supposed to eat them? Tian Sour muttered. She felt a little embarrassed. She stood up silently and put the dishes back in their original positions. She said with a wronged expression, "All right, you guys eat. I'm going to eat the scrambled eggs. You made the dishes yourself. You have to finish them even if you have to cry, understand?" Su Chuxia held back her laughter and scolded her sternly. She had no intention of letting Tian Suruan cook. She had only arranged for her to wash the fruits and set the table. In the end, Tian Suruan seemed to have lost her mind and insisted on showing off her skills. In the end, she ended up burning the vegetables. All right. Sister Sour will eat it." Tian Sour nodded helplessly. She took a plate of charred unknown object from the side of the table. She picked up a piece and stuffed it into her mouth with her eyes closed. Everyone stopped eating and sat there to watch the show. As expected, Tian Sour spat it out not long after she ate it. She even protested loudly, "Tui tui. Cough, cough, cough. Chuxia, pass Sister Sour's drink over. Is this thing edible? It was simply dog food. No, even dogs aren't willing to eat it." Ha ha ha. Isn't that the same as saying that you're a dog? Everyone was instantly amused, clutching their stomachs as they burst out laughing. They really had to give in to Tian Suruan. All right, I'll go make another dish. Anyway, there are plenty of eggs. Don't eat dog food. You will get a stomachache later." Xiao Chen was annoyed and amused at the same time. He shook his head and said. Without waiting for Tian Suruan to finish gargling, Xiao Chen stood up, picked up the plate of charred eggs, and walked into the kitchen to pour them away. Very quickly, he made a new set and served it. Just from the looks of it, it was obvious that it was hundreds of times better than Tian Suruan's. Wow! I was wondering how you could snatch Ling Xiaoxue away. It turns out that you relied on grabbing a woman's stomach. Tian Soran ate in big mouthfuls, not forgetting to praise Xiao Chen's cooking. After eating for a while, she suddenly thought of something. She raised her head and said excitedly, "Oh right, why don't you open a restaurant? You'll be in charge of cooking, and Sister Suruan will be in charge of collecting the money. What do you think, At the mention of money, Tian Suruan's eyes shone with a golden light. Just as she was talking excitedly, Su Chuxia picked up a piece of pork rib and stuffed it into her mouth. She said angrily, "How can you be so talkative? There are so many delicious things, but they can't stop your mouth. Stop talking and eat. After you're done, help me wash the dishes and clean up the room. We still have to go back to school in the afternoon." Oh. Got it. The pork rib is delicious, and so are the eggs. Tian Soran chewed the meat in her mouth and didn't seem to mind. She buried her head in her food again, still mumbling her praises. The others looked at each other and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tian Suran's simple-minded personality gave them a headache. However, after spending so much time with her, they knew that she didn't have any bad intentions. She was just a little crazy, so they didn't bother with her. After lunch, the girls washed the dishes and cleaned the table. Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen cleaned the living room. When they were almost done, Xiao Chen called for 2 cars and prepared to take everyone back to school. Near Lanqing University, Shui Gao, the red-haired guy, and the young ninja were sitting in a coffee shop, smoking in boredom. Beside them sat the squint-eyed skinny man and the tall burly man. If Xiao Qin was present, he would have recognized them for sure. These two were the hooligans who had previously collected protection fees from him at Songning's morning market street and were even beaten up by him. The red-haired guy called the two of them over to carry out young Master Shue's plan of saving the damsel in distress. In his eyes, these two looked unfamiliar. Su Chuxia and Tian Soran definitely didn't know each other, so they could play the role of hooligans. Although there was a "no smoking" sign in the coffee shop, they continued to smoke one cigarette after another. The whole place was filled with smoke, and the customers left one after another. The waiter wanted to stop them, but the group of people were all burly and didn't look like good people. He was a little intimidated and could only let it go in the end. The red-haired guy had a cigarette in his mouth and crossed his legs. He didn't know where he heard that Su Chuxia and Tian Soran had gone home this week. He figured that they would return to school on Sunday afternoon, so he gathered everyone in advance and waited outside the school gate, planning to intercept them as soon as possible. Boss. Those two girls are really here. Should we make our move now? Du Rongwei wasn't in the coffee shop. Instead, he stood outside to keep an eye on them. When he saw Xiao Chen and the others get out of the cars, he ran into the coffee shop excitedly to report. What's the rush? Let me observe the situation and judge the situation first. The red-haired guy glared at Du Rongwei, then turned his head and squinted his eyes to look out the window. He saw 6 people get out of the 2 cars. Among them, there were only 2 guys, Xiao Yi and Jia Muzhen. The other 4 were all beauties with different styles. He couldn't help but be jealous of Xiao Yi and Jia Muzhen. As he watched the 6 people walk toward the school gate, the red-haired guy rubbed his chin and thought to himself, although Xiao Yi and Jia Muzhen are a little capable, they're nothing to be afraid of if they go up against my people. They only know how to crush rocks on their chests. That's because they're wearing iron plates on their chests, so they won't get hurt. This kind of acrobatic trick wasn't a secret at all. The red-haired guy pondered for a while and felt that there shouldn't be any risk, so he waved his hand and said, "All right, let's do it. It's those 2 girls. I showed you their photos before." Chapter 952. The squint-eyed skinny man and the tall man had been waiting for a long time. They immediately nodded when they heard that. Without saying a word, they pushed open the coffee shop's door and rushed towards Xiao Chen. They rolled up their sleeves as they rushed, ready to beat him up. Anyway, the red-haired boss had already told them that as long as they didn't hurt Su Chuxia and Tanaka, they could do whatever they wanted. If anything were to happen, he would take responsibility. F***CK. We're finished, brother Red Hair. We're finished this time. The young ninja was further away from the window. He waited for the skinny guy and the tall guy to rush out before he peeked at Xiao Chen. What he saw almost made him jump up in fright. He quickly shoved the red-haired guy. F***CK your mother. Red Hair was holding a cigarette in his mouth, and the sudden push caused the cigarette butt to fall out, burning a hole in his pants. If it weren't for the fact that he quickly shook the cigarette out, his skin and flesh would have been burned as well. The red-haired guy was furious. He scolded, "Finished your ass. You're the F***king finished one. Do you know how to speak properly? Why are you panicking?" "No, brother Red Hair. We're finished. We're done for. Hurry up and call them back. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble." The young ninja stared at Ling Qinxue without blinking. Seeing that the tall guy and the skinny guy were about to run in front of them, he was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. He pulled on the red-haired guy's clothes tightly and shouted, "What's going on? If you have something to say, hurry up and say it. Don't be so flustered. Let go. Don't pull my clothes." The red-haired guy was a little impatient. He wondered if this kid had taken the wrong medicine today. He couldn't even speak properly. Could it be that there was something wrong with the brains of the Japanese? Did they just go crazy when they had nothing better to do? Brother Red Hair, look, that woman. The young ninja quickly pointed at Ling Chinchua. She's Lord Ling Chinchua. We've met in the hotel room. Don't you remember? Met in the hotel room? When did we meet? I don't think any of the young models we've been playing with are from Japan. Red Hair still didn't remember and casually glanced at Ling Chinchua. Although the distance was a bit far and he couldn't see her clearly, he could see that she was very pretty. Red Hair thought that since Shuigao didn't want her, he could find a chance to play with her. Aya, he's selling buns at Songming Morning Market. At that time, she even taught us a lesson. Hurry up and let those two guys come back. Otherwise, something big will happen. The young ninja's eyebrows were on fire. He was so anxious that his voice had changed. He cursed in his heart that this red-haired guy was too forgetful. It had only been a short while, but he couldn't even remember it. If only senior brother was here. Senior brother would definitely remember. Unfortunately, he was already killed by an expert. Cell. Holy shit. Why didn't you say so earlier? Red Hair finally remembered the tragedy in Songming City. He felt as if his brain had exploded. He couldn't care less about teaching the young ninja a lesson. He directly stood up and sprinted out of the door. He grabbed the two underlings who had just raised their hands and were about to hit someone. The two underlings were puzzled. They had just provoked them a few times, but the other party had a baffled expression. Therefore, they were prepared to directly take the next step and use force to intimidate Xiao Chen and Jiao Muzhen. In the end, they hadn't even thrown out their first punch when they were pulled back by Red Hair. The two could only put down their fists and look at Red Hair in confusion. Ling Chinchua originally didn't pay attention. She thought that they were just two hooligans who had come to intercept her. After all, the squinted skinny guy and the tall man had a more common appearance and fit all the characteristics of hooligans. Therefore, she didn't plan on paying attention to them. However, when Red Hair appeared, Ling Chinchua saw that iconic red hair and immediately remembered. Her face immediately sank. Huh? Why is it you again? What do you want this time? No. Nothing, haha. Today's weather is really good. That. Back then, when my underlings ate the buns you sold, they couldn't stop praising it. The aftertaste was endless. However, after you moved away, the two of them really missed you. Coincidentally bumping into you here today, they couldn't help themselves. When Red Hair heard Ling Chinchua's voice, he was so scared that he started trembling. His brain quickly turned, and with great difficulty, he thought of a reason and stuttered as he explained. You guys still want to eat buns? No problem, I have 2 freshly baked buns here. They're still warm, guaranteed to be fresh. When Xiao Chen saw that it was Red Hair who came to find trouble, he was in a bad mood. He walked over with a smile that wasn't a smile and waved his 2 bun-shaped fists. No. We just had lunch, we're full. Red Hair's expression changed. He quickly waved his hand and said with a smile, they've expressed their feelings of missing you. We still have some urgent matters to attend to, so we'll be leaving first. In the future, we'll never see each other again, bye-bye. As soon as he finished speaking, Red Hair grabbed his 2 underlings and ran far away without looking back. He wasn't afraid of Xiao Yi since he was just playing tricks. However, he knew that Ling Chinchua was an expert among experts. If the squinted skinny guy and the tall guy didn't stop them at the first moment, they would definitely be beaten to a pulp. In the coffee shop, Shuigao was observing the situation. He didn't understand the conversation between Red Hair and the young ninja at all. Then, he saw Red Hair rush out as if his butt was on fire. He was a little dumbfounded. He immediately ran to the door to observe, feeling very puzzled. Didn't Red Hair say that he couldn't show himself? Why did he run over again? Could it be to increase his deterrence? But soon, Shuigao felt that something was wrong. Previously, the squinted skinny guy and the tall guy had a fierce and provocative look on their faces, but after Red Hair went over, why was he fawning over the other girl and bowing to her? This script was different from what was said before. Just as he was wondering if Red Hair had come up with a new move, he suddenly saw Red Hair pulling his two subordinates and scurrying away as if they were running for their lives. Shui Gao, who was watching this scene, was about to go crazy. Originally, he thought that Red Hair was very efficient, but he didn't expect him to be a coward. Bang! The coffee shop's door was pushed open, and Shui Gao, who was at the door, almost fell over. He saw the red-haired guy panting heavily, and two of his subordinates were at a loss behind him. What the hell are you doing? Can you guys do it or not? They didn't teach me a lesson and almost killed me. Shui Gao didn't wait for Red Hair to catch his breath and pointed at him and scolded. Young Master Shui, don't be angry. Listen to my explanation. That girl is an expert. She's also a ninja from Japan, and her strength is even stronger than that young ninja. We can't be reckless, we have to think about it. Red Hair braced himself and explained. Red Hair knew that if he didn't give Shui Gao a satisfactory answer today, he would probably fly into a rage. Red Hair didn't expect that Ling Qinxue was actually with Xiao Yi and the others. Chapter 953. If I knew this would happen, I would have waited for a while longer. This time, I've lost a lot of face. Are you for real? Are you trying to trick me? Shui Gao stared at the red-haired guy with suspicion. How could there be such a coincidence? Also, that girl looked weak and gentle, how could she be stronger than the young ninja? I'm a dog if I lie to you. The red-haired guy swore, and his face fell. If I didn't see it just now, we would have been finished. Luckily, I rushed out in time, or else we would have been killed. As he spoke, the red-haired guy gave the young ninja a look, indicating for him to help. That's right. Qinxue-sama is so powerful, I think only those two experts can deal with her. Hee. The young ninja understood and hurriedly said some good words. In the end, he saw the red-haired guy fiercely glare at him, and immediately realized that he spilled the beans. He embarrassedly laughed a few times, and gloomily shut his mouth. Young Master Shui, let's think of another way. With that girl here today, I'm afraid it won't be so easy to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. The red-haired guy hurriedly brought the topic back. He was a little speechless. He only asked the young ninja to help say a few words, but he didn't expect the young ninja to have such a cheap mouth. Why did he drag those two people into it? If that's the case, then forget it. We'll talk about it later. Shui Gao's expression didn't change, and he replied indifferently. It seemed like he had already accepted this fact, but his mind was still active. From the tone of the young ninja, it seemed like they knew an even more powerful expert. It was probably their boss. If that was the case, as long as he directly talked to their boss and asked him to take action, wouldn't everything be solved? From Shui Gao's point of view, the so-called expert of the young ninja should be someone even more powerful than them. As for the red-haired guy not letting the young ninja say it, the reason was easy to figure out. He was definitely afraid that he would directly go to their boss and abandon them. Without a big financial backer like him, the red-haired guy was obviously unhappy. Thinking up to this point, Shui Gao's eyes turned, and his expression softened a little. He patted the red-haired guy's shoulder and said, since we can't deal with them today, let's talk about it another day. In any case, your subordinates have just arrived at Lawn City today, so why don't I be the host and host a welcoming banquet? I'm sorry. I didn't manage to do it for you and I still have to make you spend money. That's not very good, right? Red Hair was stunned and said hesitantly. He didn't expect Shui Gao to be so easily convinced by him, and he even offered to treat him to a meal. The foolishness of these rich people was really hard to guess. It's all right. We'll be family from now on. You don't have to be so polite with me. Shui Gao smiled faintly, and gestured for Ma Xiaochang to drive the car over, before bringing everyone out of the cafe. Looking at Shui Gao and the others driving away, Xiao Chen retracted his divine sense, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Today, Red Hair and the others had appeared too abruptly. Therefore, after they had fled, Xiao Chen had been using his divine sense to keep an eye on them. He discovered that they were heading straight for the coffee house not far away. After Redhead entered the coffee house and reported to Shui Gao, Xiao Chen finally understood. So all of this was caused by this guy behind the scenes. However, he didn't expect that Shui Gao and Redhead would actually want to play the old trick of a hero saving a damsel in distress. When Xiao Chen heard this, he almost rolled his eyes to the sky. Not to mention that Ling Qinxue was present today. Even if she wasn't here, he wouldn't even need to do anything. Just Jia Muzhen or Qing Menjing alone would be enough to beat those two hooligans into a pulp. This Shui Gao and Redhead could be considered to be idiots to the extreme. Tomorrow is actually a holiday. If I had known earlier, I would have stayed at home for one more day. At this time, everyone had already walked to the school gate. Tian Souring looked at the notice pasted on the gate and pouted his lips in disappointment. Souring, you've already stayed at home for 2 days. Why aren't you satisfied? Su Chuxia used her finger to poke Tian Souring lightly and said unhappily, furthermore, our dormitory should be cleaned. Since tomorrow is a holiday, we can tidy it up. Holiday? Xiao Chen couldn't help but be taken aback. Wasn't tomorrow Monday? Yes. Look at the notice. We can go and watch our performance. We couldn't see any other performances on stage yesterday. Jia Muzhen pointed at the notice. Xiao Chen moved closer and saw that the notice said, during this year's art festival, some majors sent their artworks that couldn't be displayed at the gala. After some deliberation, the school decided to have a holiday on Monday. The artworks of various majors will be displayed in the auditorium. Also, since this year's art festival was very exciting, considering that some students couldn't watch it due to certain reasons, the school will also play the recording of the gala in the auditorium. Students can watch it at any time. To Xiao Chen, whether it was a holiday or not made no difference. There weren't many courses for the ancient martial arts major to begin with. He was basically in a state of holiday every day, so it didn't matter if he had a day more or less. Oh no, Sister Souring forgot to bring the imported shampoo and shower gel that she bought online. Tian Souring suddenly slapped her forehead and exclaimed. Then, she turned to Su Chuxia and said coquettishly, Chuxia, accompany Sister Souring back to get them. Otherwise, how am I going to shower in the dormitory this week? I'm going to stink. You forgot to bring them? How could it be such a coincidence? Don't tell me you knew that tomorrow would be a holiday, so you forgot to bring them so that you could stay for another night? Su Chuxia frowned and looked at Tian Souring suspiciously. Chuxia, you're underestimating Sister Souring. If Sister Souring knew that tomorrow would be a holiday, she wouldn't have taken a taxi with you to school. Not only would we not have wasted the trip, but we could also have saved the taxi fare. Sister Souring is so thrifty, how could she make such a mistake? Tian Souring said innocently. Actually, Tian Souring had another reason that she didn't say. The appearance of Red Hair and the two gangsters made her feel uneasy for no reason. She was afraid that there would be danger in school, so she wanted to go home and hide. Xiao Yi was the one who paid the taxi fare. What does that have to do with you? Su Chuxia rolled her eyes at Tian Souring. Seeing her pleading expression, her heart softened and she said, forget it. If that's the case, let's go back. Yay yay yay. I can sleep in a big, comfortable bed again tonight. Tian Souring cheered. She quickly flagged down a taxi and got in with Su Chuxia. Then, she rolled down the window and waved at Xiao Chen. Counterattack guy, we'll be leaving first. Bye, oh, have a safe trip. Xiao Chen nodded and watched the taxi disappear into the horizon. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Tian Souring's strange personality. However, he was already used to it and couldn't be bothered to argue with her. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.